2020! TVI here with a top 10 video. Man, is it awesome that the Pokemon franchise has turned 24 years old today. Pokemon is a unique staple in my life, and it's adored by a ridiculous amount of people. However, what is it about Pokemon that we love so much that separates it from our other interests? Join me as I cover the top 10 defining things that make Pokemon stand out. This one is a little vague to be starting off with. Sure, many other franchises hold personal memories to you, which is why you hold an attachment to those franchises, but focusing on just Pokemon here, the memories we all have for Pokemon is what separates it from our other influences. We all hold dear memories to things like our first start Pokemon, our first generation, our first shiny, etc. There's just something about these experiences over the years that define Pokemon as its unique thing and worth at least a mention. Pokemon has a habit of breaking the mold when it comes to already existing lore to the features of Pokemon. It doesn't stagnate and it keeps coming up with fresh ideas, and unlike other properties, it's a continuing franchise due to its adaptability to change and constant surprises. Things such as different coloured Pokemon or Pokemon forms, day or night cycles and seasons, Mega Evolution, Primal Reversion, Trials, Z-moves, Alolan and Galarian forms, Pokemon Fusion, Dynamax and Gigantamax, and a ton of other stuff that keeps providing something new to the table to prevent it from being the same thing. Come on, I had to include this one. There are so many iconic musical pieces that stick with us and seriously separate it from other franchises. Granted, other games and shows have their own music, but it's just something special about Pokemon music that brings a community together. How many trumpet memes were made for the Hoenn games? How many of us remember the anime capitalising on a piece of music that really made that moment shine? How many of us know every single word to the first theme song and wouldn't be afraid to sing it in public? I think it's safe to say that none of us were expecting Pokemon to come this far. For a franchise expected to end after Generation 2, yet continue decades after into Generation 8, is truly spectacular. Whether you're a grandparent or still a child, Pokemon has reached out to all generations and has impacted us all in one way or another. Unlike many fads that have come and gone, Pokemon stuck around and continues to grow. With the continued support from the community with purchasing merchandise, playing every game, watching every episode and reading all the manga, it's clear Pokemon as a whole is something that we're addicted to and will be near impossible to stop following anytime soon. Pokemon isn't something that is restricted to just being behind a monitor, nor is it something that is completely void of our world. Over the years, Pokemon has slowly creeped its way into our daily lives and has actually become part of our actual way of life. Plushies act as if they're actually in our world. The Pokewalker is a pedometer that encourages outside gameplay within our daily tasks. Pokemon Go is a prime example of how AR is actually bringing Pokemon into our world, and with things like Pokemon Sleep around the corner, I can't wait to see how a simple fictional concept can become part of our lives. Pokemon would be nothing without its community. Similar to how a king is nothing without his subjects, the Pokemon fans that support the franchise is the driving factor in what makes Pokemon, well, Pokemon. The difference between a Pokemon fan and a non-Pokemon fan is difficult to explain. Our lives were moulded around this franchise, and it has turned us into the people we are today. Whether you're a serious hardcore fan or just starting out, I'm sure we've all taken in at least one thing away from Pokemon, which has altered the way we think and act in life. Pokemon is a story unlike any other. On the surface, it may just seem like another RPG, or just another anime, or just another card game, but there's so much more. In the games, this is a story about your adventure. We're not a random character living their life. We're set on our own adventure, as if we've just entered the Pokemon worlds ourselves, and we get to play it however we like. Replayability has never been so diverse, since every run you do can be changed in so many ways, with changes to rules, real-world events, and of course, the change of Pokemon on your team. With the anime, we get to follow a person who has inspired us for decades. Sure, he's not perfect, but that's okay. We shouldn't expect him to be perfect, nor should we think any less of him when he screws up. Ash Ketchum is a protagonist that all of us can relate to, and with the anime formula constantly adapting to the audience, the immersion is surreal, and the change in pace is something that separates it from your standard show. As for the card games, it's not your typical game of poker, I assure you. The excitement that comes with opening every pack, the joy it brings when you get something extremely rare, and the memories you have of completing a collection you are aiming for is something magical. Not to mention, playing the actual card game adds a unique spin onto both your typical defeat your opponent and your typical strategize your deck to perfection. Entering top 3 now, and what would Pokemon be without the memorable characters? I've already mentioned how iconic Ash is, but if he doesn't do it for you, then I'm pretty sure that there are other characters that define Pokemon as its own separate thing, as opposed to other franchises. How epic were some of these characters during their moments of glory? How captivating was it to share these moments with these characters? How many of these characters have we all crushed on at least once? These are characters that bring different angles for the franchise and define Pokemon as its own thing. With each generation, I can't wait to see what other unique characters are in store for us. Runner-up is how Pokemon is played and is experienced. It's a complicated mess of maths, science, history, and a bunch of other influences mashed into one game. But once you understand it, you can fly by each game with ease. The whole idea of rock, paper, scissors being a base for how Pokemon function and respond to other Pokemon is interesting to say the least. And when you take into account things like natures, EVs, IVs, held items and breeding, it's seriously something no other game formula can come close to. This is just the main games too. So many spin-off games have used unique features to truly enhance your experience and to add depth to the simple formula of button mashing, inventory abusing, and AFK play. But what made it to number 1? Well, if you paid attention to the video, you'll see a certain word has made its way into every single section. It's Pokémon. Pokémon makes Pokémon. Hey, of course, it's so simple now. How can I make this list without mentioning the actual Pokemon in its own category? An abundance of monster collecting inspired games have come to be, but none can top Pokemon, simply because of how iconic some of them are and how much status these pocket monsters have in comparison to other monster inspired franchises. Show anyone an image of Pikachu, and if they don't know what it is, then that image isn't a Pikachu, my friend. Seriously, with things like Pikachu, Eevee, Charizard, Mewtwo and Snorlax in existence, there really isn't a more unique property that has so much notoriety in today's day and age than these phenomenal creatures we call Pokemon. Thanks for watching everyone, don't leave yet! It's been an awesome experience having Pokemon in my life, and with each year another wave of spectacular news continues to make this franchise grow. Really hope we all have a brilliant Pokemon day and continue to support the franchise and its community. You guys, the community, already help towards the growth of Pokemon and vice versa. So just keep being your awesome selves and hopefully we can see just how far Pokemon can go. But for now, TVI has got to fly. Thanks for watching this video and hopefully I'll see you in my next one.